Today is Saturday, November 9th. It's about 11 a.m. and the temperature is 35 degrees. We've had a whole week of below average temperatures. Normally around here in the fall, early fall, we don't expect it to freeze every night, but it's been below freezing almost every night for an entire week, and last night it got down into the low 20s. And I'm hoping to keep my lettuce alive until Thanksgiving, so I threw an old sleeping bag and a couple of blankets over the cloche to see if I could trap enough heat last night to keep everything alive. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all the coverings off, and we'll see if there's still anything in there. Well, it looks like the lettuce is still alive. Actually, the tomato plants are still alive, so it must have stayed above freezing inside last night, which is good. I do see some signs that growth is not really up to par, but it's late and we're only getting maybe 10 hours of daylight, maybe a little less, maybe 9 hours of daylight. I have to look that up. The plants look pretty good. I'm gonna start picking leaves. I may actually pick some today off of the biggest plants. Maybe I'll take one leaf off of each plant and see if I can get enough to have for lunch or dinner. Looks like maybe some dandelions growing. Guess I could eat those too. We'll see. Looks like one of the eggplants shed some of its leaves. Generally speaking, everything in here looks pretty good, so that's encouraging. It is supposed to get down to freezing tonight, but only just barely to freezing. And then the next 3 days are supposed to be more normal for us. It would be mid-30s at night and mid to low 50s during the day. But then in the middle of next week we have some severe cold weather coming. One day it's supposed to be down into the teens or very low 20s again. So we'll see if we can keep everything alive. Once we get through that, then it looks like we've got a week or two of good weather in late November. So hopefully we can keep all of this going until Thanksgiving. We grew some new kinds of tomatoes this year, some new varieties for us. We grew Black Crim, and we also grew Carbon, in addition to Early Girl and Better Boy. The Black Crim grew, the Black Crim and Carbon are both purple tomatoes, or red with green overtones along the top, dark red flesh inside. They're very good eating. The Black Crim produced bigger fruits earlier, but it didn't produce as many. The Carbon actually was our best producer this year, and I just wanted to take a minute and show how we grew our tomatoes this year. What we did, we put cages around the tomatoes, which we normally would do, and as the tomatoes grew out the tops of the cages, we picked the 3 best stems, the main stem and 2 suckers, and we tied those to bamboo poles and let them grow up the bamboo poles. The tomatoes, some of them reached 8 feet. So we had a good year for tomatoes. We had a lot of black spot this year, but the plants were vigorous enough to outgrow it and keep producing as they climbed up the poles. I'm just going to get a little closer and show you how we tied up one of the tomatoes. This is the cage for the Carbon tomato, and you can see there are multiple stems coming up from the main stem at the ground. I think we actually grew about 4 main stalks because one of the early girls died early, and so we took some of the extra tomato stems from the carbon and just tied it to the stakes on the next cage over. You can see there's one pole here, one pole there, and a third one here. We tied the poles to the wire cage, and then we tied the stakes. We tied the tomatoes to the stakes up the pole. I just used rags. Not real particular about that. I just don't tie them so tight that it breaks the vine. I think the rags work better than the wire. The wire seems to crimp the stems a little bit, but the wire works better tying the bamboo poles to the tomato cages. And we got the bamboo poles from my neighbor. He has a large stand of running bamboo across the back of his property, and it is an aggressive invasive species, and you can actually see we have some along in the back corner of our property. As they get big enough, I just cut them down and cut them into tomato stakes for my tomatoes. I'm hoping these will be good for a couple of years. I don't know how long they'll last. I also spoke to a woman who says in the spring, when the bamboo shoots are coming up, they sort of look like asparagus popping out of the ground. She says there's a way to prepare those and eat them, so maybe next year we will be eating some wild, quote unquote, bamboo shoots. It looks like our friend the stray cat has been here, protecting the garden from the pests that seem to run through the neighborhood. Just a little gift from Kitty. And it looks like my wife has been to the garden center again. We have something new. I have no idea what it is. Alright, this is my last video clip for today. I just wanted to show everyone that it's now about 11:30 and it's in the mid 30s now. But there's still ice in the bird bath. See you all next week.